And welcome to the 19th episode of the new podcast. My name is Steven, joined as always by producer extraordinaire Kelly and the man himself, Morgan. Let's get to it. Talking everything MMA, still on the MMA drought, everything of wrestling this week with the lead up to Royal Rumble. Shit is amping up. Super excited to see the Royal Rumble and what the weeks lead up to it. Not a whole hell of a lot of MMA news this week. Everyone's still on vacation, still with the fight. We do have UFC Fight Night 143 coming up. Cejudo versus Dillashaw. Battle of the little guys. We'll find out what happens in that. Break that down a little bit in the show as well. Let's talk some news up in here. One of the biggest rumors I heard through this week, and I actually think this is going to be a huge move for the UFC, is the rumor fight they want to have next is Luke Rockhold versus John Jones. Luke Rockhold moving up to 205 and facing John Jones. What do you think of that one, Kelly?
I like it, man.
Yeah.
I think that Luke Rockhold's a little big for the division anyways, for the middleweight division. You know, you probably go in there depleted. 205, I think is a good weight class for him. I think you have more energy and strength, and I think, he's a big guy. And I think, I like it.
Yeah, I think his frame fits on that weight perfectly, and maybe he can go up and actually be more of a killer. Maybe it'll help out with his jaw. I think that's what happens a lot of times when you weight cut too much, your jaw goes. And maybe it'll help him out. Who knows? Heavyweight even, who knows? He's a big guy for 185. But I got to ask you, Morgan, who do you think takes that 205 Luke Rockhold versus John Jones, a roided John Jones?
Well, I think Rockhold would probably fit in pretty good at 205. But I think jumping up to 205 and taking on John Jones right away, he's going to get easily dispatched.
Wow, yeah. I could see it being a John Jones win just because Luke Rockhold's record obviously opposed to John Jones's record. I would have to tip my head towards John Jones as well to win that fight as well. But still, I would like the matchup.
I see an
Whoa,
upset.
you heard it here first, folks. You heard it here first. Luke Rockhold, first round knockout, 10 seconds.
It's going to look better than he's ever have.
Wow, yeah. That's what I'm saying. I think that's huge news. I'm pretty excited to see if that does happen. I'm more than well for it. I hear what you're saying, though, Morgan. And maybe it is a bit of a...
I wonder what the line would be on it. Because it might be good to take Luke Rockhold because the line is going to be probably incredibly big against him.
One match that, speaking of taking a line against Luke Rockhold, John Jones, but no, but remember when he had fought Bisping.
Yes.
And man, that was one of those fights where someone should have bet on Bisping. You know what I mean? The second time they fought, like, wow, you know what I mean? That must have been like one of the most heavily one-sided wins ever. But let's see what we will find out in the future. Luke Rockhold versus John Jones. Other big news: we're seeing a lot of fights being announced for the I think it's in Wichita or Minnesota or something like that. Card is getting a lot, and it's Ben Rothwell makes his return from his suspension against Blaggy Ivanov. A super tough dude. He was fighting out of Bellator. I think he just recently lost his fight. But Blaggy guy had a crazy story where he was like stabbed a bunch of times in a bar fight, almost died, and then actually came back to Bellator and to UFC to be a one hell of a tough dude. But still, it's such a crazy story of surviving being stabbed that much to still being able to be an MMA fighter. Nuts. Versus Big Ben, bringing back Big Ben Rothwell. I think it's going to be a tough matchup for either guy. But Rothwell, how does he come off his I think he got like a 2-year suspension for his failed piss test. So it's going to be a big challenge for both those guys, and really a stepping stone into the heavyweight division of two guys who have really got to make waves, or they're going to be on the outside looking in. Bellator wouldn't be a bad jump to go to.
It always seems weird when a guy with a build like Ben Rothwell pops for roids or whatever supplements.
Yeah, I totally know what you mean. Like, the other guy who was like probably the guy who's failed the most piss tests out there. It was one of my favorite fighters, Josh Barnett. But if you look Josh Barnett, he doesn't.
It's like, those are not very good steroids. This guy's using.
I don't think Anderson Silva ever looked like he is juiced on steroids either.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
that's
good
true.
call. Yeah, I like that
Pretty
one,
slim.
Kelly. Absolutely. Yeah. No, never. He's exactly. But obviously, obviously there's different types of steroids, obviously, but still, not traditional
Yeah.
roider where you see like the huge jacked up dudes.
Popping for the hair loss shampoo product. What was the goalie that happened to?
Oh yeah,
Jose
Tebow.
Theodore?
No, it was Theodore. Yeah, Jose Theodore. Yeah, I always get him and Jocelyn Tebow mixed up for some weird reason. Canadian problems, am I right?
They were both Montreal Canadiens goalies. Similar.
They
names.
were, yeah, they were. Let's take a look. Break it down. Big Ben Rothwell. 6 degrees of separation. He lost to Junior Dos Santos in his fight. He's 36-10. Obviously, he's fought a lot. Beating Josh Barnett, which I hated that win. He beat Mitrione. Beat Overeem. He beat Brandon Vera up, too. All these are by finishes, too, and then loses to Junior Dos Santos. And then that was when he failed his piss test. Yeah, because that was back in 2016 was his last fight. Let's take a look at Blaggy here. Ivanov. This dude's tough as hell, too. I think he's basically been fighting more out of Bellator than anything.
So Ben Rothwell has like a winning streak until he got caught. Interesting.
Exactly.
Interesting.
Exactly. No,
His
he
record
never
wasn't that great before, was it?
No, it wasn't that great at all. No, it was kind of win-lose.
Interesting.
Yeah. Here we even see this Ivanov, his last loss. It's the battle of the dudes who got beat up by Dos Santos. That's kind of crazy. Same with him. He was on one hell of a streak. Lost to Volkov over in Bellator. Went over to the WSOF a few times, beating everyone over there, and then eventually getting the call up to the UFC. That was his first UFC fight, was against Junior Dos Santos. Wow, that's a tough guy to fight as your first fight. That's crazy. Fighting in PFL as well, when WSFO turned to PFL. I did not know that. I thought he'd fought more recently in the UFC. Only one fight underneath his belt. Yeah, big career. That should be a good fight. 2 heavyweights going at it. Bigger dudes. Let's see what happens with that one.
How old is Rothwell now?
He's got to be up there. Let's take a look here. Rothwell's age here. It's got to be, 37. Wow.
Yeah.
He's up there.
What an old fool.
I know. He's ancient. As you feel old when, Rick Nash, a hockey player has to retire at age 34. That makes you feel old. You know what I mean?
I'm Ben Rothwell, and I'm an old fighter.
They're gonna bring back Dan Severn for him to fight, and they'll be the same age.
Practically the same age.
Yeah, exactly. Well, that's hilarious.
Randy Culture.
One fight I'm really looking forward to, and mark your calendars for this one, is Cody Garbrandt takes on Pedro Munoz in his return back to, from his 2 losses against Dillashaw. It's so tough being at the top, you know what I mean? You lose 2 in a row, basically, but you had to fight the best dude. You were fighting for the championship the whole time. But one guy I really didn't have a clue of who he is Pedro Munoz. I really don't know who that guy is, really. So let's take a look here. Let's search it up here. The 6 degrees of separation. Pedro Munoz. Do you guys know who this guy is?
No.
I have no clue. So let's take I think I've seen 1 or 2 of his fights. Breaking it down with Pedro Munoz. All right. So he really doesn't have the best record. Beat Brian Caraway. Brett Johns he beat by decision. Lost to Dodson. Oh, he's got a win over Rob Font. Damian Stasiak beat Justin Scogins. And Russell Doan. He's got a lot of UFC fights on his record, even fighting at UFC 170 back in 2014. So he's been around for a while, losing to Rafael Sunsao. Tough dude. And then kind of was in the RFA a lot before that. So we'll see what happens. I don't know a lot about this Pedro Munoz guys, but who knows what kind of Cody Garbrandt we see? I think they're kind of giving him a bit of a softball fight here. With the number 10 ranked fighter in the bantamweight in Pedro Munoz. I see it easy as a Garbrandt win, that's for sure. But who knows what we see? I think they're trying to build up his ego a little bit again, obviously for another championship run. But does Cody Garbrandt come back, the one that was breakdancing in the ring against Dominic Cruz, or do we see the Cody Garbrandt that has the back injury? We'll find out when that fight goes down. Excited to see the return of Cody Garbrandt. He is a total D-bag, but he's actually a really, really good fighter. And can't wait to see him. Makes 135 interesting, as opposed to a lot of the wrestlers we see.
He's one of my favorite fighters.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't really like his personality, but in the octagon, he's really awesome.
Yeah, I totally agree. Hey, with my boys.
He posts a lot of pictures of his kid on his Instagram.
Oh, does he? Oh, okay. Nice.
Good dad.
That's cool. Really likes his kids. That's cool.
He's a good dad on Instagram.
Yeah.
Like Tito Ortiz. They had that press conference where they had Chuck Liddell and Tito Ortiz there, and the interviewer asked them each to say something nice about the other one, and Chuck said Tito is a good dad.
Wow.
That's awesome. That's pretty much the best.
He's like, I don't like him, but he's a good dad.
Got something to buy.
Yeah. I like that.
Yeah, that's very nice. That's very nice. All right, I think probably maybe the biggest news, especially for the women's division, is the announcement of Thug Rose Namajunas to be taking on Jessica Andrade for the belt. So I like that one. UFC 237 has a real deal headliner with that fight being announced.
Speaking of my favorite fighters.
Yeah, exactly. So UFC 237 going to really shape up with that one. And with a tough test, I think she wins this handily. You know what I mean? Andrade is tough, and she's been walking through a lot of the girls in her division, but Rose is just on another level. But who knows? Styles make fights, and Andrade she's nasty to go up against, and she got a great ground game. But as we've seen in the past, Rose is not one to be counted out, and her stand-up is on point right now with her. Not only is her striking strength, but her timing is on a different level. And I think that's what's separating her from the other women in the division is, to go out and outstrike Joanna twice that way. And then, just to be as tough on the ground as she is, cold-hearted killer in Rose Thug Namajunas.
She's got way too much drive. Even if the other girls are similar in skill to her, she beats them just based on the will to win.
Thug Rose!
Yeah, I agree with what you're saying, Will Morgan.
Life. I love her and Pat Barry. They're like the dream team.
Just think of their kids.
Yeah, man. It's gonna be awesome kids.
Let's think of their kids, yeah.
Little heavyweight female fighters.
Finally, somebody to fight Gabby Garcia. I'm excited to see what happens on that card. I think it's basically the first major fight to be announced on that one. As far in the future, though, to think 237, I think it's in like May or some shit. So we'll see how that card shapes up. But it's got a lot behind it now with having that as a. They may have another fight with it, but I think that fight could be the main event. Even the card that's coming up next weekend, the 19th, it's kind of a weird spot for it because it is one of those things as well where it's a fight night, but it's like this mega fight with champion versus champion. But it goes to show how much 125 sucks. Is that their biggest fight? They can't even headline a pay-per-view. They're on a fight night, which is good for the fight night and for the fans, but not for that division. Karate Combat announced their... Karate Combat has announced their new event coming up. Karate Combat Hollywood, January 24th, so it's right around the corner. Super excited for that one. I cannot wait for that card. And I thought maybe the coolest part was that Danny Trejo, Mashehi, is going to be the special in-ring announcer. So he's gonna cool. He's gonna announce the fighters. I guess there's more Hollywood than Danny Trejo. Machete being in there.
Super recognizable guy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, badass. You guys seen that movie, Badass?
Yeah, I have seen that movie. Yeah.
The old guy that gets attacked on the bus.
Yeah, good. I haven't seen it in a long time. It was a good movie. Super excited to see. There's really no real names on the card, but it's always super exciting that way. They're going to build some names. Like I said, they think they need to get some MMA fighters or something in there, but they're coming up with a really cool format of a golden belt. So every main event of all the events, the winner of that moves on to a bigger tournament down the road. and you win like kind of like a golden ticket type thing. But you can win a golden belt at the end, and I think they're going to probably put like something stupid, like $1 million on the line, and then they'll get people's heads turning. I love that idea. If that's what they're going to go with. A few details have been released on what this whole golden belt thing is going to be about, but it is definitely going to entail it to have a tournament at the end of the year, which is even cooler. And who knows where Karate Combat will bring that event. This one here in it's going to be in Hollywood, obviously, and I can't wait. I can't remember what the venue was, but it should be really cool nonetheless. Still, man, how would it be so cool to be on that VIP list? Like, how the hell do these people get these tickets? So secretive. It could be actors for all we know, but I can't wait to see that. Can't wait to see that event. 24th, mark your calendars. Talk some football news. Big win for Clemson, beating Alabama. College football, man, did something for me this year. I never watched so much college football in my life this year. But man, what a main event they had with their college football bowl going down. Clemson taking the title back, and that's what's kind of cool. This whole era right now is the Alabama-Clemson era, and it's as opposed to all the other college football eras. I think we're in one hell of a golden age for college football, and I think that's why I've been watching it, because it's actually been super fucking exciting. There have been so many good games this year to watch, and I think that's what you kind of got to figure out in the beginning of the year is what teams are good to watch, and then it's actually super enjoyable. You see some one-sided beatdowns, but you see a lot of really good games. They have good matchups as well, with just how much talent there is in college football. Really weird. American college football, it does. I can see why it's so popular. It's some kind of hypnotic messages are sending in it or something, but it's good to watch. How are them Cowboys, though, eh? Cowboys Nation goes down. People are already burning their jerseys. Typical Cowboy fan.
There is no Cowboy burning.
I saw a video. I woke up to a video this morning of a dude throwing his jersey into a fire.
That guy's a dip. They had a pretty good season considering they started like 3-5.
Just to make the playoffs was good. They got to lose Jason Garrett, obviously, if they're going to ever be a good team. Yeah. Hands down, bar none.
And they ran into a really good offense yesterday.
Yeah, exactly. Their defense was good, but it wasn't good enough, unfortunately. But they hung in there. They did hang in there.
No surprise the Patriots kicked some ass this morning.
Yeah, no surprise to that at all. What I thought was good. It was a good game, though, to watch. We watched it all the way through. We had a few drinks last night, listened to some great tunes. Just chilled out, as did Kelly, in a different region altogether. He was blocks away. drank a lot of Rolling Rock. Delicious golden Rolling Rock.
I drank a lot of water. A little bit of alcohol, 5%.
Exactly. Delicious Rolling Rock. Don't ever change Rolling Rock. You're my go-to beer. Love it. Never let me down. If Rolling Rock people are listening to this, send me any Rolling Rock merch you would like. Rolling Rock beer. But one thing I had thought in my inebriated state last night, through the listening to hundreds and hundreds of different songs, was what would be a fight between two dudes. We've talked about the show earlier in episodes of like rappers versus rappers. It's just so easy, it writes itself. But one matchup I thought of last night would be for rockers fighting it out. Sammy Hagar versus David Lee Roth in an actual fight. You know what I mean? How awesome! It's a good matchup. I think probably David Lee Roth may take it. Sammy Hagar is pretty fit. He looks kind of tough, but I think David Lee Roth's got all that. He took some kind of karate shit or something like that. But maybe his rock star party and lifestyle maybe would catch up to him in that fight. Who do you think takes it more, Sammy Hagar or David Lee Roth?
I prefer David Lee Roth,
yeah.
And he's kind of bigger.
Mm-hmm.
He seems kind of like the way he moves and stuff. Like he's really fit, but he kind of comes off as like a sissy.
A little bit, yeah, a little bit. Yeah.
I might give the nod to Sammy.
Huh? Wow, yeah, more manly. Sammy, more manly. Yeah. Well, who do you think takes that one, Kelly? David Lee Roth or Sammy Hagar?
I don't know who these people are.
They were both in They were both singers for Van Halen. That's okay.
I don't know.
No, that's all good. They're like David Lee Roth was the first singer for Van Halen, and then he got kicked out or he left. It's still no one really knows what happened.
Yeah.
And then Sammy Hagar replaced him, and they've kind of had, I think, a little bit of beef just because they're both the singers for a rock star band, you know what I mean? But
I think that Eddie Van Halen might interfere.
oh wow,
Smash David Lee Roth in the head with his guitar.
wow, against David Lee Roth. Wow, that's how much he hates him. Wow, I could see it. Whole fucking guitar battle off. No, I think David Lee Roth takes it. His moves, he's so limber in his music videos.
The way he surfs on that floating surfboard across the crowd.
Exactly. My bet's going David Lee Roth takes it. I just thought it was funny. You know, we're going to think of more rock stars down the road in future episodes of who'd fight each other. Rock stars, anybody. Two people who should fight each other.
For the younger listeners, Google Van Halen on your devices.
Oh, shit. They're known, not by a younger generation though. And Kelly somehow.
I'm sorry.
Oh shit. Speaking of battling, I've always loved you take two things, put them into a ring, let them battle it out. I think what I love is it was like kind of a thing about movie versus movie, song versus song, person versus person. And I love the movie, and we've talked about this before, Morgan, is Karate Kid. Great series, 1, 2, 3. Even if you want, if you like the new ones. My kids like the new one with Jackie Chan. But I love Karate Kid 2. Love it. I think it's the best one in the series. But Morgan, you disagree. You like Karate Kid 1.
Yes.
Yeah, it's not a bad movie. But I'm just saying, when I compare it, it's just... Number 2 was just so good. Okinawa.
I like part 2 as well.
Yeah.
Actually, those are the only 2 I like is part 1 and 2.
Yeah.
I didn't really like 3 so much. And then the one with Will Smith's kid and Jackie Chan.
Yeah.
They should have called it Kung Fu Kid for one because he's teaching him Kung Fu.
Yeah, I hear you saying that, yeah.
Oh,
And
snap.
whatever that kid's name is, Jaden Smith,
Yeah.
I think. He was terrible.
Yeah. Really, I think it was like one of his earlier movies. But just between we're comparing, it's like we're comparing cheeses. We love them both, but one's still got to win here, Morgan.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? One's got to be better.
Karate Kid 1 because it's the original. Great character development and building the relationship between Miyagi and the Karate Kid, Daniel-san.
Yeah.
Good bad guys, Cobra Kai. Like they were even relatable a bit.
Yeah, I hear you saying. But
Classic tournament.
Karate tournament style.
The montage scene. You're the best there is. Yeah, that's the best. I like part 2 as well, but
I think
always have a soft spot for part 1.
It's got for everything you're saying, part 2 was times 2 better. The antagonist, like the bad guy, Sato, the best. Miyagi. I just love that. Miyagi.
He was definitely a bit
You
more
dishonor
hardcore
us.
than the Cobra Kai guys.
Yeah. The scene I love in number 2 is when Sato, Mr. Miyagi, goes to his house to say he's not going to fight him, and he does, you know what I mean, and that he's not going to dishonor his family, yada yada yada. And he's like hitting that piece of wood.
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about? Like that's what he's practicing, like karate chopping this like piece of wood. It's kind of got like a minor indent on it because he's been hitting it for so long. I thought that was a really cool.
What about
moment.
the scene where they're like in that nightclub or whatever it is, and they're like breaking glass or ice?
Yeah,
It's
ice.
right?
Yeah, exactly, ice. That was a super cool scene. Exactly. But I just and then his nephew, I think it was Sato's nephew, was like the other karate Sato's student, and he was like the obviously the major bad guy. I thought it was way better than Cobra
You
Kai.
always have to have a foil for both Mr. Miyagi and Daniel-san, right? So
Of course.
there's always the young one,
Yeah,
and then the older one.
exactly. So because you
And
can't
the
have
old one's always worse than the young one.
Of course.
The young one kind of usually turns by the end of the movie into kind of a good person.
Not in this one though. It was the opposite, where Sato turns good.
Okay, yeah, I have that in reverse.
It is exactly. It is, but and the young guy, he was the one who was in the, and then obviously in the end, spoiler alert, Karate Kid 2.
Have you watched the series Cobra Kai?
No.
I have not yet either.
Huh.
I've heard it's pretty good from a few people.
Really? That
It's
was it.
basically like Daniel-san
Yeah.
and the main kid from Cobra Kai start up a gym again, like rival gyms.
Crazy. Huh. Is it actually Ralph Macchio?
Yeah,
Wow.
it's the
Huh.
original two guys. Yeah,
Crazy. Oh, I'll check it out. No, it seems interesting. But the better the I digress though. Better antagonist. Better love interest. You know what I mean? Who was the girl in the first one? I can't remember her name, but the girl in the second one, Yuki. She was perfect for the role. Perfect for the role. And
I like the girl in the first one as well.
I think the girl, I'm just saying, you're comparing one to the other. You got to go with the girl from the second one. She was much more attractive. And I thought was a much better actress, just being the the girl from Okinawa and how their whole thing, they had that whole tea ceremony thing in it, where the other girl was just kind of felt sorry for Danielson, and that was their whole thing. It was pity. He was friend zoned to hell. But I like the ending. Both endings were good. I think the ending of the first one had that whole kind of a build up, a super build up, intense moment. But the second one, the ending was great, where the guy breaks in, and he's like dishonored. He's dead to his family anyways, and it was something. I can't remember. It was like the Bone Dance or something like that. I can't remember what the heck it was, like the Ghost Festival or something like that they were having, and like this huge.
Well, another thing is the crane kick.
Yeah.
So much cooler than that little wooden toy.
That was my next. That was my next point. That move was way cooler. How he used that move, the crane kick, is terrible.
Crane kick was
Crane
awesome.
kicking can fool anybody.
Crane kick. Shogun used it. Anderson Silva used it. Both had huge victories with it. I believe Shogun knocked out Couture with basically a crane kick. Right?
They didn't.
He didn't put his arms up like that.
Yeah, no, he didn't put his arms up like that.
But it was
I hear
basically
you
the
saying.
crane kick.
Yeah, I hear you saying. All right, you may have me beat on that
I think
one.
that the move from Karate Kid 2 wouldn't really work.
The drum attack, hell yeah, would. But I gotta go number 2, best movie of the series. Amazing movie. So we're comparing beers, we're comparing cheeses here. Just two really good movies from a great franchise, and that Karate Kid 2 takes it on my book. Morgan's go for. We gotta have Kelly as the split decision factor here.
He's never heard of Karate
He's
Kid.
never watched a Karate Kid once. Have you watched any of the Karate Kids, Kelly?
I watched the first one.
Oh, okay. Kelly votes the first one. I lose.
The only one you need to watch.
There we go. It was so good he didn't need to watch the second one.
That's right. I was satisfied.
He's like, case closed.
Case closed on this Karate Kid.
It's like, there's no topping this masterpiece.
Exactly. Impossible. I'm just going to not even pretend that the second and the third one and one's after are totally different movie. Don't even exist to me.
I've never seen the one with Will Smith's kid. What's his name? Jaden?
Yeah.
Yeah, don't even bother with that one.
Yeah, it wasn't
I
very good. My
regret
kids
watching
liked it. Yeah, my kids liked it. I didn't really like it.
But Will Smith can act, so why can't Jaden?
Mm-hmm. Great point, Kelly. Great
It's
point.
kind of like if you can, build a house, your kid should be able to too,
man.
right?
Of course.
I remember going with my wife to that movie with him and his son where they go to some other planet.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, I can't remember what it was called, but it was awful.
It looked like it was a terrible flop, too. Yeah, I can't remember what the heck it was called. Something like Titan or something like that. It was
Will Smith was okay in it, but his son, again, was terrible.
Yeah, this is one huge point of how your name can get you acting roles. Would be Jaden Smith.
No hate though. If I could get an acting role in a big movie, I'd take it, even though I can't act.
How dare he take that
I don't think
handout.
it's his fault. I think
Exactly.
it's the fault of the studios.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
How dare he take those movie roles?
He's not a bad rapper, though. He's on that song with Logic.
Ugh. I can see that. The Logic hour here on N New Podcast. Let's all talk about our favorite Logic song.
We can have a big debate about which is the best young Sinatra. 1, 2, 3, or 4.
It's debatable. I think number 1 is obviously the best.
4 was pretty good too.
Wu-Tang forever. It's out of nowhere.
Wu-Tang again and again.
There you have it, folks. Debate done. Karate Kid wins. Moving on to the next bonus round. Karate Kid. I don't know, man. That drum attack would be way better. I don't know, Warren.
Even when I was a young kid, I was like, what in the hell is that?
With no MMA coming around, let's do a breakdown. Small breakdown here. UFC Fight Night 143 going down next week. Out of the Barclays Center, New York. I think this is no, it's definitely not the Fox one. Kind of weird that they would have this this kind of an event in New York. I thought they would have at least a little bit better on the card with the flyweight belts for some weird reason still on the line. I have no clue what they're doing with this division, and I think with what was more confusing was the signing of Joseph Benavides to a contract extension, another 125-pound fighter. So I thought that was a weird move that they're going to get rid of Mighty Mouse, but they're going to keep Joseph Benavides and still keep 125. So I thought that was a very weird move. Maybe is Joseph Benavides going to move up to 135? Or who knows? Maybe we'll see like kind of like a WEC show where all the UFC has like a minor weight show all to on itself, like Invicta or something like that. And these guys will be
125
live. Exactly, 125 live. Well, we could see that. I wouldn't doubt it. But not a bad card though. We see Greg Hardy make his UFC Big Show debut. Former defensive lineman for the Panthers, obviously, and the Cowboys, up against Alan Crowder. Alan Crowder was doing some smack talk before this fight, saying that Greg Hardy does not belong in the UFC, obviously for his spousal abuse stuff, and he kind of got this shot with his name. He knocked out everyone in his path, but we'll see what happens when he faces an actual fighter with an actual record. Still at a heavyweight, it's going to be a tough matchup for anybody, where anybody can really go down here. Alan Crowder, pretty boy Prouder. He doesn't have the best of records. 9-3. He lost to Justin Willis, Big Pretty. He got knocked out by him, and that was really it. He was from the Contender Series as well. Fought in Bellator once and won. Kind of weird he didn't get another Bellator shot. Won by knockout too. He's actually lost to Curtis Blades in a lower level show.
So this guy doesn't think Greg Hardy deserves to be in a UFC fight because he came off the Contender Series. Yet he came off of the Contender Series himself.
Yeah, his whole smack was kind of weird. It was kind of weird.
That's pretty stupid.
Mm-hmm.
I think Greg Hardy's gonna mess him up.
I think maybe he was just going with something
Greg Hardy's like super athletic for that weight class.
Yeah, I could see it being
he looked pretty dominant in those Contender Series fights.
Mm-hmm. I could easily see it being an easy finish. Quick one as well. They're giving Greg Hardy a total can here, and Alan Crowder, especially at heavyweight. Alan Crowder does not look like a heavyweight. He looks like just like a guy who's 205, 185 at best.
Yeah, and I don't agree with what Greg Hardy did at all, but the guy lost his NFL career over it. It's kind of like his second chance at life here, and people are pissed about it.
Yeah, I think I believe in second chances. Like we did, Michael Vick would be like one of those dudes too. He got a big second chance, and I believe in second chances if he's going to use that for positivity. Sure, absolutely.
Yeah, if he can change his life and be positive from here on out, that's better than everybody shitting on him and closing all the doors and pretty much forcing him to be a scumbag.
Yeah, exactly, absolutely. How he uses that second chance, we'll see. Gregor Giuseppe versus Yancy Medeiros. That should actually be a really good fight. Gregor Giuseppe undefeated, 12-0 against a very tough guy from the Nate Diaz camp in Yancy Medeiros. So that's going to be actually a real banging war. I think it's at 155 too. And Gregor Giuseppe here, he's really on the rise as well. They have a rising star with this guy. And even the aforementioned Joseph Benavides takes on Dustin Ortiz in what should be, I don't know if that fight makes the main card. I don't think it should. If they're going to have that instead of Paige Van Zant versus Rachel Ostovich, that's serious injustice to the fans. That fight should be one of the best fights on the card too. Would be Paige Van Zant versus Rachel going down that night as well. This is a stat. It's pretty deep. Glover Teixeira versus Carl Robertson. I know that was a last-minute replacement. I think there was another last-minute replacement that almost didn't go through. Even Cerrone is on the card against Alex Hernandez. That should be a really good fight, actually, too. Let's take a look at this Alex Hernandez dude. I'm not exactly sure who this guy is. 10-1 and a huge step up in competition with Donald Cerrone. Of course, here's another Alexander the Great. I was just saying, there's too many Alexander the Greats. Remember I was saying that last year? Everybody, Alexander the Great Hernandez. He's 26, 10-1, fighting out of San Antonio. He beat that Aubin Mercier, at least. That's a pretty big win. Beat Dariush, knocked him out. He's got some pretty big wins in the division already. One by decision and one by knockout. Only have one loss on his record. This guy could give him trouble, fighting at 155. So man, we could see a good fight here. One dude from Texas, one dude from New Mexico. Should be a good card. Can't wait. Breaking it down, Alexander Hernandez. We're seeing some younger guys. We'll see how their longevity goes because we'll see how they pan out. Joanne Calderwood's on the card, taking on Ariane Lipski. That should be a good one. That's actually quite a big card. I think there's 13 fights on it. Dennis Bermudez versus T. Edwards. That should be a good one. And Jeff Neal's on the card. That guy's a really good fighter. That should actually be really, really good. Jeff Neal, really impressive guy, coming out also off the Contender Series. Huge card. Looking forward to the breakdown on the next one on that one after watching it. That's for damn sure. Can't wait. And that goes down on the 19th. Is that a Saturday or is that the...
19th?
Is it the...
Saturday.
It's a Saturday.
Okay, good. Cool. Oh, it is actually the first UFC. It is the ESPN show. Okay, cool. First ESPN show. Breaking it down here. Now, with all that being said, the UFC breakdown, it kind of brings me into my middle of the show. I usually do my take here. Brings me to my take of kind of just touching base a little bit. I was reading more of that comic book, the comic book story of professional wrestling. Still an amazing, amazing book. Check it out. I'm on the second chapter. It's kind of about the Gold Dust Trio. I'd never even heard of who the hell these people were. It was kind of interesting how they kind of had turned wrestling into what it is now, where they had the set moves, and there was managers, and they had people signing contracts and shit like that. But what I thought was really cool about that time, it was kind of like 1920 to like 1940, was that even though it was all fake, there was still wrestlers who were good enough where if they got the opportunity at the belt, sometimes they wouldn't go with the script, and they'd actually try to win the belt. Against everyone's wishes. So I thought it was kind of a cool touch, and it actually happened on a bunch of occasions where the dude who was challenging was just such a good wrestler, like an actual wrestler, like a Greco-Roman or an amateur wrestler, that he would just win the belt off script. And I thought that was kind of a cool thing, you know what I mean? Using the best of your opportunity to win the belt, whether it be for what the managers wanted or didn't. But it was kind of cool. But eventually, in the end of the chapter, the Gold Dust Trio obviously splits. They were making just too much money. And it gets revealed that wrestling is fake, and the fans didn't like it. Obviously, they were just like, "Shocker! Wrestling is fake." It's
still real to me.
It was in the 30s, right? So I thought that was kind of interesting. So just how wrestling has gone these ups and downs throughout. The next chapter is on the region, so I think that's going to be the real cool chapter when it really started getting turned into what the professional wrestling we see today. But it got me thinking. This whole book got me thinking of all the how wrestling was in like the 1800s and the early 1900s. How it was like a real cool spectacle, like almost like a boxing match almost. And I thought that, that's what we really need is a professional grappling like kind of organization. Kind of like Karate Combat is a little bit. And they do have them, obviously, with Abu Dhabi and different shit like that, even though Abu Dhabi is only every 4 years or every 3 years or something like that. I think having one that would be on TV would be super cool, but it's not... I'm a huge grappling fan. Love grappling as a sport. I eat it up. It's my thing.
They have NCAA wrestling.
Yeah, that's true, too. But that's still... It's amateur wrestling, though, right? You know what I mean? Like, it's freestyle. That's freestyle wrestling. I think if they had the problem with it is it can be quite boring. Jiu-jitsu matches, Abu Dhabi's a little different because you got these freaks of athletes in this, so it's a bit more of a higher pace. But grappling matches, even a lot of wrestling matches, they can be quite boring and stalemates. That's what we had that they talk about in this book all the time. Is it was hard to keep the fans entertained, right? Because they said some matches will go for 4 hours, right? You're just two super strong dudes, no one willing to give up.
I think the best thing along those lines was Pancrase.
Yeah, exactly. That's
you had the open-handed strike.
Exactly. That's totally what I was going to talk about too. Exactly. That'd be the coolest shit if you had something like that, a little bit like Combat Sambo does a little bit. With strikes, whether it be open palm or you can kick the guy. You can only do leg kicks or something like that. But I thought the easiest way to combat the slowness is to do a 10-second on the ground rule. Kind of like they do in Karate Combat where you're allowed, I think it's like 3 seconds on the ground. Something like that. 10 seconds on the ground for a grappler forces them to do more. You know what I mean? And then you can get the coolness of the Saved by the Bell aspect. You know what I mean? Where a dude's into a move where it really pushes the pace. So as soon as you go to the ground, you have to be going for a move right away. And I think that could be a way to combat the slowness. Maybe you have to tweak with that number. 10 seconds is 10 seconds. You know what I mean? Maybe they do 15 or 20 even. But I think at 10 you keep the pace super fast. To eventually the person is just gonna be so dizzy from being thrown so much or taken down that you could sink in the submission of some kind. Something to think about. But I think that would be if you go with what Abu Dhabi has done. With their ultimate division, and it's like kind of a division where anybody can enter if they want to. You know what I mean? And anybody of any weight class, and a lot of the smaller dudes have won. Even Mackenzie Dern, she won the ultimate championship for the girls. For women in Abu Dhabi, beating Gabby Garcia. Just because Gabby Garcia was massive, Mackenzie Dern was just too good for her.
Yeah, it just shows like Gabby Garcia is just huge. That's why she wins all the time. Pretty sure if another girl her size that actually had some skill was in there, she would beat her.
Oh, big time. Absolutely. But the other one was Andre Galvo. He actually beat Vi Calvo in Verdum at the Ultimate Division as well. So even littler dudes can pull off the victory as well. So it's having that Ultimate Division in it. Stealing kind of some stuff from that. I think it really adds to the flavor too. Not really having the specific weighted matches as kind of like the undercard, and then having these ultimate matches always is the main attraction. So like that's your main thing. Like in wrestling, whereas your heavyweight division is your division, your focal point, which it should be in all combat sports, and just to keep it that, but making it so small guys can join up like they do in wrestling. And I think that's what I'm seeing throughout this whole book too, is just there's such a reference to a crossover, how MMA and wrestling back in the day was really two of the same thing, where these people would get into these scraps that were kind of underhandedly and dirty, but it had a wrestling aspect. You were doing it because you were wrestling, and maybe it was the underbelly. Where back in the day, dudes didn't like when you were going to go for a takedown. It was all you had to be mano on mano, and no one could punch somebody or hit somebody on the ground. You had to just stand up and box somebody. So maybe that's why wrestling always has kind of had this taboo type thing as the second best thing behind boxing, as the sweet science, as they would call it. But I would love to see a grappling organization come up, especially in the States. I know they've tried to do it before in the past. It's just hard to get traction, but I would love to see it. I would totally love to see it. And I think if they did kind of like a Karate Combat type thing, it could work. All right. Well, with that being said, let's take a quick break here. We'll be right back, folks, after these short messages. Stay tuned. Water. It's in pop, kind of. Makes pop taste great. H2O. Water. Water and beer. What a match made in heaven. Delicious water mixed with 5% alcohol. Delicious.
Have an empty pool and don't know what to do with it? Water! You can swim in it.
Need to take a bath? Try water. And for an extra bit of effect, try hot water. Scrubbing your nuts has never been better with hot water and soap. Try it today.
I think it's always been pretty good.
I know, but can you imagine people who did it with cold water? Ugh.
Tired of washing your balls with cold water?
Warm water. That makes your balls feel terrific.
Try it today.
While supplies last. Side effects include pissing your bed and
Ball shrinkage.
ball shrinkage.
Side effects included being hydrated. Water. Good gravy. Scrubbing my balls with this cold water sure sucks. Turn on the hot water and grab some soap while you're at it. Just washing your nuts with water alone won't do the trick. Add soap. And hot water? Now you're talking. Golly, my balls are nice and clean.
God damn, I burnt my balls!
Use caution when dealing with hot water. Contents hot. And welcome back, folks. We hope you enjoyed the brief little break there. And go grab yourself a tall, cold glass of water on the house. Love me some water. Saved my butt last night when I was drinking all that beer. But I digress. With this week coming up, all the wrestling to talk about, I cannot wait for the Royal Rumble to happen. Best event of the year, Royal Rumble, right around the corner. And we'll see what everything that happens there. Let's talk some wrestling. Great Raw this week. Crazy way to start it off with Lashley and Rollins kind of getting into it. You know, I kind of like that move, Morgan. You know what I mean? Their show just starts and they're brawling and the people separating them and still trying to, you know, it's kind of like a whole thing. Lashley getting into like a huge, there's like a huge brawl in the end there as well, with Lashley kind of getting the better hand in the beginning and then Rollins in the end. But I kind of thought it was funny, it was this huge, like they were kept on shaking the camera like in a Star Trek way, you know. They just got on to add dramatic effect to the whole thing. The guy was just zooming in and out and shaking the camera to make it look more like a brawl than it was. It was pretty funny. But John Cena comes out to a huge ovation, obviously on Raw this week as well. Says he wants to talk about how he wants to compete in WrestleMania and how he's saying he's going to the Royal Rumble. Highly doubt he's going to win it. With that terrible haircut, I don't see John Cena. He's just gonna be showing up here and there and just doing movies and movies and movies. I can see from here on out.
How you gonna win the Royal Rumble with that haircut?
Exactly.
Come on, man.
Police.
Let's get real.
Let's get.
That's some bullshit, man.
Exactly. Oh, exactly. What was he thinking? Step 1: better haircut. But it was a cool moment. All hell breaks loose. Lashley comes out and with Rollins and they're fighting each other. And then Dean Ambrose comes out and Cena and McIntyre get into it. And then Finn Balor comes as kind of the hot tag in for the end and has that massive coup de grace. And then of course we get a three-way tag team match, and it was actually really good. But I thought of all the dudes in that match, I think Rollins actually really stole the show in that six-way tag. I thought it was a really good match, actually. And obviously, they're bringing out all these multiple matches to lead up to Royal Rumble, just showcasing the talent that they have, and they have it in spades with the roster they have in the WWE right now. The return of the Hulkster. We can talk about that. He had a great speech, Morgan. We talked about it all week. Hulk Hogan comes back for to honor Mean Gene. And gives him one last, let me tell you, Mean Gene. You know what I mean? It was a really good moment. He had just how it wasn't a dry eye in the house. I tell you, it was a good moment for the WWE, and And Hulk Hogan kind of came out and said in the beginning too. He's like, he just came out in character. That's what Mean Gene would have wanted, and said a bunch of heartfelt words, and it was actually a really, really cool moment. Good move by WWE. But the thing I did notice the most, I don't want to harp on the dude, but just Hulk Hogan's been this timeless hero, I think, for me and a lot of other guys my age probably. As this never aged, he always looked good. He always looked shredded. But I think seeing him at this event, you kind of saw a little bit at the World Cup in Saudi Arabia, where Hulk Hogan came out as well, that he's starting to look his age now finally, and it's it's kind of sad. It's to see him. I'd like to see maybe one more match, like even if he comes out and just beats up a dude, something like that for Hogan, to kind of just to say goodbye to wrestling, and go about his being Hulk Hogan. But it was a very nice moment.
Yeah, I really liked it. I thought that Hulk Hogan did a really good job.
Yeah.
One of his classic promos.
Mm-hmm.
What are all you Hulkamaniacs up in heaven gonna do when Mean Gene Mania comes and runs wild on you?
Yeah, it was
really
nice.
Good.
Yeah, it was a nice moment. Yeah. Nice moment.
And of course he's getting older looking. I mean,
of course.
He is probably like in his 60s or something.
No, that's what I'm not trying to knock him. I'm just trying to say he finally is now looking old. For his whole career, he looked exactly the same, and he just somehow now it's just he's starting to crack.
Yeah, I do think they should bring him in for at least one more match. Have him go over on like the Miz or something.
Huh. Oh, okay. I like that. Yeah, I was gonna say, who do you think he should go up against if he does?
I think the Miz works good in those kind of segments.
Yeah.
You could have him bring out Hulk Hogan on Miz TV, and then they get into it somehow.
Oh, okay.
The match develops out of it. Some newer talent comes out and helps Hulk Hogan beat him.
Yeah.
Say AJ Styles or something.
I could see that. Yeah, I could see that. And they have a tag team match or something like that. But yeah, they can't hang it up just yet. One more match and we'll call it. The tag division is in the roughest state. It is, and it's been a long time. I don't know why. Maybe Vince McMahon coming back, they'll try to rejuvenate it. I think it's as worse as could it be ever been right now. It's Revival's whining about that in the end of that match. Did you watch that? Their acting was fucking terrible. It was rough. Like, that's not what heels do, though. You know what I mean? They don't whine that they lost the match. You know what I'm saying? They should do something dastardly. It was terrible.
That's more of a heel move than a face move, though.
Not the way they were whining. Like holding their hands on their sides. Go back. These guys are terrible, man. Revival, coffee drinking losers. These guys they're coffee fanatics. Something's wrong right there. Nothing wrong with coffee, but they like to be like a coffee fanatic. Come on, that doesn't ooze the tough guy mentality that they play in the ring, which they just aren't there. They just aren't there. I just thought it was a weird move. I don't know why they were acting like that. I think they should have attacked them or done something. But here we see the glorious tag team once again win. Hopefully we see they can switch it up and bring somebody else. And the other guy I was thinking was Shelton Benjamin. He's done a few promos, but I haven't seen him in forever. They should inject him with somebody again, or are they going to give him a singles run? Shelton Benjamin, we'll see what happens with him.
I would rather see him go on a singles run. Then when they keep teaming him up with random guys, it just kind of doesn't seem like that great of a team usually.
No, he's different than he used to be, that's for sure. I think that's just they always kind of want to slot him in with the tag team because that's what he kind of started as. Yeah. But to have him on his own, I think
he looks like a main eventer now, though. He's like one of the only guys that you could maybe believe beating like Brock or Braun or these guys, right?
I don't know why we don't see more of him. That's what I was saying. I don't know why we don't see more of him on the show. It's weird.
I always thought he would have been a good WWE guy to go into UFC.
Yeah, I could see that. Yeah,
wrestling background. He was actually Brock Lesnar's roommate in NCAA.
Huh.
Like back when they were in the university, I can't remember which one. I think it was like South Dakota or something.
Crazy. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. He's got the physical aspects. His acting isn't great. It's not terrible. I don't know why we don't see more Shelton Benjamin. I think he could be up, especially on SmackDown. Fighting with Andrade, Cien Almas, and Mustafa Ali. I think he should be up there too. He's got great in-ring ability too, and I think he adds a little bit of a spice to that mix-up. But they got to do something with the tag division. I'm serious, man. It is rough on Raw, especially. The tag division on SmackDown is really good, but the tag division on Raw, it is rough, depleted, terrible. They got to get some lifeblood in there. They got to throw two other dudes together to try to save it somehow. But that cringy moment between Braun and Brock, oof, that was rough. Braun Strowman's acting was just I think he forgot his line too. There was a part there where he was like kind of mumbling something. I think he forgot his line, what he was supposed to say. I think that's why there was so much dead air in between. They were like, one guy was like talking backstage, one guy was talking in. I don't know if it was a delay, and Braun's like just like looking dead into the camera. It was kind of a weird, very weird segment, and I really didn't get it, man. It was terrible. Good to see Brock back on the show, even Brock's still pulling his move, like he doesn't have to be in the ring, yada yada yada. So I thought it was a good move. Jinder doing what he should be doing. He must be listening to the show, as all the wrestlers do, I'm sure. He's making fun of the crowd, making fun of the city. I thought that was a great move. Make Jinder a heel again. He's an amazing heel, and I think he's got a really good career to be the champion again. If he's a total bad guy, he's the total hating on American bad guy. It works perfectly for him. He's got a perfect voice for it. He's got the perfect face for it. He could never be a baby face with that face. He just looks evil. He looks mean, and I don't know why they haven't just pushed him just to be a bad guy. Period. That's it for your whole career. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? What else is he gonna do? You can't be a baby face and look that evil. But I thought it was a really good move. It was just him making fun of like picking people out in the crowd. He's like you with the mustache, and he's like, no, I was talking to your wife. You know what I mean? I thought that was
that was pretty good. Yeah. I remember that.
I thought that was a good move. Well played. It was well played.
It's kind of hard to pull yourself off as the face when you got like two little guys running around, sneaking around the ring, helping you out.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. That doesn't work either.
I kind of feel like Alicia Fox doesn't really fit in with them either.
She doesn't fit in with anything. I think that's the problem. I think she's
done better in different roles though than this.
I hear what you're saying.
When she was with the Bellas, it worked pretty good.
It wasn't bad. It wasn't bad.
But like with Jinder and Sunil and the other guy, it doesn't work.
Where does she fit though? I just don't think there's any spot for her. She's got to stop flip flopping.
She just needs to be like by herself as basically like a mid to low card female wrestler.
Yeah. Okay, I see what you're saying. I can see her maybe tagging up with somebody, and maybe.
Maybe once they introduce the girls' tag team titles.
Yeah, I could see that. Who does she? Maybe Mickie James, I guess, would be kind of really her only dancing partner to have as a tag team partner.
That, or if they bring up a younger girl and have her kind of be like her mentor.
Yeah, I could see that. They got so much talent on NXT right now that to have somebody come up to kind of, I don't think they need to go with that whole mentor role that they used to do in the past, but I think some kind of injection storyline between the two brands I think wouldn't hurt. I think we're seeing a little bit with the 205 guys moving over, giving them a chance. They done in the past, when Kevin Owens was the NXT champ too, he came on to Raw and attacked John Cena. I thought that was a huge moment for his career. Speaking of the women's division, though, I think it was a really nice change up. They did something right with Sasha Banks winning that match to get to challenge Ronda Rousey at Royal Rumble. I think it's a good change up. I really like them coming up with some new ideas, new faces to go up against each other. And I think it's going to be a great match, actually. To the two girls who injure all the other girls, going at it. Who gets injured first?
Neither of them are getting injured. They're tough.
It's true.
Sasha Banks can fall from the top of the ring onto her face and get up and be fine somehow.
She had one hell of a crash. Did you see in that match too?
Yeah.
Where she straight up it was like she was. I don't even know what was supposed to happen there, but she just straight up did a flip and just landed right on her side on the outside. Kelly, it was pretty. It did not look like it felt good. Like she fell in a heap. That was a thud and a half.
She sells crazier than any
She does.
of the girls,
Yeah, that's true.
And she always seems fine and doesn't seem to get injured often.
That's true. She's just the one who's doing all the injuring. We'll see what happens.
She's almost as bad as Seth Rollins.
She's the female Seth Rollins with injuring people. The Rollins Ambrose match wasn't terrible. I've watched. They've been going up against each other this whole time. I think they brought a little bit of a different edge. It was a cool, falls count everywhere match. But But there was that part where Ambrose just cranked Rollins, or no, Rollins really cranked Ambrose right in the nose. You see that part where he kind of like put his hands up to like say punch me, and man, he punched him all right. That was right on the nose. That definitely hurt. There's no way around that. Did not hurt. That was a good punch. Like he was trying to sell it as getting as close as possible with that punch, and he got close all right. Popped him right on the nose. Yeah, but it wasn't a bad match. They've been really trying to find a dancing partner for Bobby Lashley, and I think they may have found it with Seth Rollins here. I like Lashley. I think what they got to do with Lashley is make him like the corporate muscle, like they've done with him in the past. You know what I'm saying, Morgan? Like they got to make him like the muscle for the commissioners. Being dastardly and dirty that way. And I think that's what we saw in this match with Bobby Lashley intervening and causing a muck. Is they got to make him some kind of guy like that. Like always going against the good guy or the anti-establishment guy and just bull rushing people and just beating the shit out of them. I think it works perfectly for Bobby Lashley and for his little mouthpieces Leo Rush as well.
It's kind of the role he played back in the day when he represented Vince McMahon, and I think it was Umaga represented Donald Trump. Or was it reverse?
I actually think it was reverse.
I think Lashley represented Donald Trump.
Yeah, I think you're right. Yeah,
and Umaga represented the McMahon.
Yeah, I think you're right.
And then Vince ended up having to get his head shaved by Donald Trump.
Exactly. I think that was also the same. Yeah, it was right around that time. It was the same time that those guys had beef. It was when they brought in Tito Santana. You were in that match when they brought him out of the crowd?
I cannot remember that.
And he won the Intercontinental Championship off Umaga.
Oh, wow.
Because Bobby Lashley interfered in the match, and Tito Santana won right off the bat.
Chico Santana.
Canadian, actually. He always plays Italian, but he's actually I think he's from Ontario or something.
Tito Santana?
Yeah, or I'm thinking...
I thought he was Mexican.
Oh, who's the guy? Sorry, I'm thinking of San Morella. No, Santino.
Oh, Santino
Morella, yeah. Too many. Sorry, totally wrong one on that one.
Okay, I kind of remember that now.
Yeah, that's what I meant.
When you were saying Tito Santana, I was like, really?
Really? The guy who plays guitar for...
No, Tito Santana from Rick Martel's partner from
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, no, sorry. Yeah, it's super wrong guy. Yeah. Totally wrong guy. But that was the guy. He won the Intercontinental Championship. Yeah, Tito Santana would have been like super old at that point.
Didn't he have some sort of Socko move? At Santino Morella?
Yeah, he had the Cobra.
Yeah.
And he had the Cobra Strike, yeah. But I think they're going the right way with using Bobby Lashley. They need to do a little bit more. I'm still hoping and praying for this group movement. Are we ever going to see this group movement come around? I think they're waiting for the right moment. Maybe they may not do it at all. But we will see. Did you see Triple H too sweet Finn Balor? All your too sweet hate. Triple H too sweeted him. He initiated the too sweet. So I think if there's any if there's any passing of the torch, I think it's that one right there.
Yeah, that just seems like they're out for money now.
Obviously.
Seems cheap.
What?
Cheap pop.
It's still, I think it was a good move. Good move. I think they're doing the Finn Balor push. That was the biggest rumor, is that if Finn Balor is going to be the next big guy. And I think that's what we're going to try to build. You know what I mean?
I like Finn Balor by himself, though. I don't want to see him surrounded by a bunch of guys. I want him to fight guys, possibly even lose as normal Finn Balor, and then come back and fight them as the Demon.
I think that's how he beats Brock Lesnar, is coming in as the Demon.
He has to be the Demon
to
beat Brock Lesnar. They're not going to, and they shouldn't let him beat him as normal Finn Balor.
Yeah, I think that match makes sense. That match would put asses in seats. Demon Finn Balor versus Brock Lesnar at WrestleMania or some shit like that. I can't wait to see who's going to win the Royal Rumble. I'm super excited to find out. And obviously everyone's going to be more and more entrances are going to be coming up in I think there's still 2 weeks to the Royal Rumble, and super excited.
I'm always interested to see which random guys that have been out of the business kind of for years or in the indies or something come back up for an appearance.
Yeah, exactly. Like they did, they did even Kevin Nash did one recently, and
a lot of times Tatanka comes back.
Yeah, Tatanka had been in recently too. Yeah, he still looks actually okay. The other one too is I think one of the best ones was Bubba Ray Dudley.
Oh yeah.
When Bubba Ray came back, I thought that was a big pop. I was huge 3D fan. That's what the thing with the tag team division was the best. I was a huge tag team guy. I love the tag team division. I think that's because that was my time. Was when it was the Dudleys versus the Brood and Edge and Christian versus the Hardy Boys. And I think that was just the best. That's when I was doing my backyard wrestling.
That was an awesome era for tag teams because you had APA as well.
Yeah, exactly.
You had the New Age Outlaws.
Oh yeah, New Age Outlaws too. Yeah, exactly. They won a ton of time too. Exactly. You're thinking about all these tag teams, and then they had a few
Brothers of Destruction.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. The guys that were thrown together, even The Rock and Mankind were thrown together as
the Rock and Sock connection.
So many good tag teams back then. Just what a shell of a division it is compared to what it was, and that was just one 5-year period.
I think you still had Owen Hart and Jeff Jarrett too. That was a pretty good team.
Wow, I don't think I remember that one. I could believe it. That would be a perfect tag team though. Two D-bags, or even the Hart Foundation, the Hart Foundation just going at it too. They had multiple tag team switch ups. Between them as well. Even at that part of their career as well. Just so many good tag teams were around then, and to say now, the tag team champions are Chad Gable and Bobby Roode, very weird.
Yeah, on the Raw side, it's not so great, but I think there's a lot of good tag teams on SmackDown, like New Day and Usos. They're this era's Hardys and Edge and Christian kind
of. A little bit.
They definitely dominate the tag team scene in wrestling these days.
What I'm the most impressed by is the Bar, actually.
They're pretty good as well.
Yeah,
I remember when they got thrown together, I was like, what? Because they made them have something like 7 matches against each other.
Oh, yeah, I do remember that. Yeah. It was a best of 7.
A draw somehow.
Mm-hmm.
And then they just threw them together as a tag team because it was a draw.
I remember that. Yeah, I remember that. Huh. That was rough. 7 matches in a row.
And I just remember, when they first named them as a tag team, thinking, this is stupid as hell. And then a few weeks later, I was like, I can see it's working.
That's hilarious, yeah. It is really good. I really like to talk about SmackDown. I really enjoyed Daniel Bryan heel move. In the beginning of the show, did you watch that, Morgan?
Yeah, that was awesome.
That was actually a really good segment. Where he's attacking people in the crowd, Kelly, he splashes a dude's drink in his face and smacks a hot dog out of one other dude's hand. It was kind of funny because they just pick random people out of the crowd. Obviously, it was set up exactly, but it was funny because it's the one guy, he smacks it out of his hand and he's kind of looking what the hell, and his other buddy just keeps eating his hot dogs. I thought it was pretty funny.
You'd say it quicker. So
I was like, you ain't smacking this one out of my hand, son of a bitch. But it was actually a really good. I thought it was the vegan Daniel Bryan, and it actually really worked on this one here. I thought it was his attacking the crowd and just how he was still talking when it came to the ring. And when he called that guy, he's walking down the concourse. Yeah. He was in the cafeteria yelling at people. Now he's walking down the stairs to the ring, and Kelly and there's this one guy's holding up a sign, and Daniel Bryan is like, "You're impotent." And he's like, "No, I'm not. No, I'm not."
It was pretty good. I love when he calls people names like that. Impotent.
Yeah, I think calling people impotent, I think, is a good move. But just that guy's reaction, "No, I'm not. No, I'm not," because he's got the microphone there too, right? So it was kind of a really cool interaction with the fans there. I just thought I just chuckled to myself when I heard that. So whatever writer told him to start yelling people are impotent. Good move. Good. No, that's a terrible thing.
When he was at the merch booth.
Yeah.
He was talking about how crappy the shit they're selling people is.
Exactly, I know.
The AJ Styles little finger gloves and stuff like that.
Yeah, it was a good move. Just saying how it's harmful to the environment, all that shit. It's
his whole tree hugger gimmick is perfect heel shit because your average wrestling fan hates tree huggers.
Exactly. Yeah, I was kind of skeptical at first with the angle they were going with, but how he handled this move, my hat goes off to him. Daniel Bryan pulled a power move with how well that segment went, and it really took its effect on the crowd. And I think if we see a little bit more of this, it is going to really steamroll him into a new career as the evil Daniel Bryan. Well, the Yes Movement's dead, and I think to go from the Yes Movement, which was so big, into something else, that's got to be a scary, scary move for someone like that. But it's fresh, a bit of freshness into his career. Which, maybe he's had a hard time fitting in, from coming back from his injury, which he'd basically been written out because he was not supposed to be able to come back, not supposed to be able to be cleared and wrestle again. to come back. Maybe they're the WWE is having a hard time fitting with him, and I think this move obviously is a good move. Another great mix-up they had used with the tag team matchup of Mysterio and Mustafa Ali against Samoa Joe and Andrade Cien Almas. Really good match. Another match that really stole. They're really placing these guys, but they're switching it up. And to have that tag team match, that was beautiful. I couldn't imagine Mustafa Ali to be, when he threw that double drop kick with Rey Mysterio. What a cool move. They timed it perfectly. Like, I'm just saying, like, I was thinking of myself. Can you imagine, you know what I mean? Rey Mysterio is my favorite wrestler, arguably of all time. To be doing a drop kick side by side and to pull it off textbook like that, that would have been a really cool move.
One thing I want to know is why you pronounce Andrade Cien Almas, but Rey Mysterio, not Rey Mysterio.
Oh, I got you. Okay. Rey Mysterio.
Rey.
Yeah, I love Rey Mysterio.
Yeah, it was a really good match, actually. Like, Rey looks as good as ever still.
And what was the coolest part is how him and Andrade had that really cool little moment, you know what I mean, when he was like kind of like mule kicking him and they slid forward and then he kicks him back off of him. I thought that was an amazing show of feat of wrestling with those two dudes. Really bringing it up here, and
Lucha Libre at its finest.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it very, very much was. It was a perfect matchup of the classic Mexican matchup of the Rudo versus the Technico, with Rey Mysterio, you know, being the mask guy against the bad guy, not wearing a mask in Almas. A great match, and they gave him the win too. But how does Rey Mysterio found this second gear in life, man? I have no clue. You know, in his last WWE stint, you know, he looked stiff. It looked like his knees were really bothering him, and he must have got some hell of a work done on his knees or something. Because I don't know where this Rey Mysterio has come from. He's almost better than he was when he was younger. He's just really showing he's got his body at peak physical form, and especially for a dude who's really turning back the clock and putting on these fucking amazing matches at his age with the amount of ring wear he has taken with all of his high flying. He's just kicking into another level. I don't know how he's found this gear, and couldn't be happier to see a guy like Rey Mysterio really have a ton of gas left in the tank to make a good career and be very lucrative in his later days in life, where some guys are gone.
What I think is possibly he's back on one of these deals where they don't wrestle as often, and he gets more days of rest in between, because maybe at his age, that whole like 300 days a year type schedule that a lot of these guys do is too much.
I could totally see that, and I think knowing your body at that age, knowing you can't go every night, 6 days a week, day in, day out, different places, I think having, exactly like you said, having a contract where he doesn't have to be on that schedule is going to help his longevity as well.
I just hope that the fickle, to quote Daniel Bryant fans, is that a lot of time when these guys do go on a reduced schedule, the fans get pissed at them for some reason.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that
they
sucks.
Don't like it. They call them part-timers, and they decide, I don't like this guy no more. So,
well, I think there's a
hopefully
difference.
If it is something like that, they don't turn on Ray.
They better not.
Ray deserves better.
Yeah.
I hated seeing him get booed in that Royal Rumble where he came in as the 30th.
Well, because everyone wanted Daniel Bryan. Yeah. Exactly. That was shitty. That would have been shitty to be him. They thought they'd bring him in. You know what they got to do? They got to do CM Punk's music. Just cause, you know what I mean? I think that would be pretty funny. I think imagine the pop they would get. Obviously not him coming out, but if they did CM Punk's music, I hate CM Punk, but I'm just saying the fans would absolutely love it.
Especially if they were in Chicago.
Mm-hmm. And just to fuck with the fans too, I think it'd be a good move. That'd be hilarious.
Introduce him as the world's worst cage fighter. He was like the world's greatest wrestler or something like that, or the best on earth or something. What was his thing?
I can't remember. I wasn't really his fan. I know a lot of people love him. I do not. Not my guy. Oh, the Mandy Rose homewrecker angle. Golly, is it working? Great move for whoever thought of that one.
Time for Jimmy Uso to trade up?
I don't know. But they're doing an amazing job with it, giving Mandy an angle, giving her some screen time, and she's doing very, very well with it. I'm really loving that move. Just with, she's obviously gorgeous, so it's working out super, super well. And then, she distracts the Usos and Great move. It reminds me a lot of the Attitude Era. With her coming out in a towel, and shit like that. It really reminds me of the Attitude Era, where these women can still be amazing athletes, but they can still use a little bit of the sex appeal. Let's be honest. Sex sells. And it sells just as much on wrestling as it does anything.
Oh yeah, guy wrestlers have done it throughout the years too.
Of course,
like Rick Rude was a perfect example. Chris Masters.
Mm-hmm. No, exactly. And I think it's a great storyline, great move for Mandy Rose to up her game, and I can see the sky's going to be the limit with this one. Where they go from here, it's going to be really, really good. I could see where we're gonna have some shit go down. But what they need to do with the whole Attitude Era stuff, throw up the middle finger more often. We need to see some goddamn middle finger. You know what I mean?
You'll see them losing some goddamn sponsors.
No. They need to throw in the middle finger. Get the more middle finger. # free the middle finger on it. You know what I mean? It's not that bad. It's the middle finger. Come on. What you know what I mean?
Then you get little kids emulating it. I'm sure back in the late 90s, little kids were throwing up the finger everywhere because of Stone Cold.
Yeah. What's so wrong with that? Come on. It's the middle finger. It's a finger.
I don't mind it, but there's a lot of people that are offended by it, and I think that's the reason why they don't have it on there.
I hear what you're saying. But still, I think that's what they need. If they want to get back to the Attitude Era stuff, they got to start using middle finger. I really love the matchup. It was Carmella versus Charlotte versus Becky. That was actually a really, really great match. Good for them to go at it. But what I noticed was that Carmella looked a bit stiff. I think she may be battling an injury. Or something. I don't know what. She looked a little stiff in that match compared to how Becky and Charlotte were moving around. I think she may have hurt her back or something. She didn't look that good. She missed a few kicks. Or even Corey Graves is like, I don't think she got all that kick on her because it looked like it was a total huge miss. But the camera shakes and zooms in and out, so it makes it look real for us at home. But that one looked like it was a huge miss for Carmella. Maybe too much flossing. Too much flossing has got injured her back.
I actually did like the match between R-Truth and Daniel Bryan.
Yeah, actually, it was a really good match to open up. I really liked it too. Yeah, it was a really, really good match.
Another part I really liked was Rusev. Like when he came out, they're all pissed about Lana getting in.
Right.
I thought that was one of his best promos ever.
Yeah, he actually. Like I said, I'm just not a big fan of them trying to make him a baby face. And I don't know. I guess I think
it works. He's one of their most popular guys.
He's likable.
He sells more merch than most of them.
He's likable. I'll give him that.
He's obviously got the fans behind him.
Mm-hmm. That's for sure.
I don't see the WWE wanting them to push him the way they should, just because a lot of time these guys with accents don't get the push. Like a perfect example is Cesaro.
Yeah.
Like he could have been a guy that was like huge, I believe, but I think because he's Swiss and has an accent, they don't push him like that.
I totally hear what you're saying. Yeah, Cesaro's, I think his mic skills aren't the best either. Where I would definitely say, that's one thing that's always held him back. Would be his mic skills, but absolutely one of the best in-ring workers they have, and for a long time he's been around now too. So it's a perfect example of a dude who just couldn't really get that little bit of traction going forward.
I think Rusev has good mic skills though. Mm-hmm. He's a pretty funny guy.
He is. He's quick-witted. He's super quick-witted. And I think maybe his likability gets over. But they got to get rid of... They got to use him with somebody other than Shinsuke. You know what I mean? It's just that the rivalry's really kind of been put to bed. They got to put Shinsuke in a bit higher up. It's kind of weird. Put somebody new in there, I think. Maybe we'll see the conclusion of that. But good win for Becky, though, for her to win that match. Obviously beating Carmella and going to be going on to face Asuka at the Royal Rumble, which even adds to more of that card. I can't wait for the Royal Rumble, man. Just everything, the straight up title shots and then also the Royal Rumble. Can't wait for it, man. Can't wait. That's all that happened in WWE, but the biggest news I think to come out of the wrestling world is obviously the announcement with the All Elite Wrestling having their rally show in Jacksonville outside of the Jaguars Stadium. The Cons have got deep pockets, and I think that's what's going to make AEW the next big thing. It's going to leapfrog past Impact or TNA or whatever the hell they want to be called these days so hard and right up the WWE's ass with all these signings. All these people are going over there.
I think they're gonna have to get a TV deal though, as well as like I watched that, and it was like one of the most low budget things I've ever seen in wrestling in the past 10 years.
It was super low budget.
It was like watching.
It was like recorded on like It was like recorded on a phone.
Yeah, it was like watching like an old '80s Canadian TV show like Beachcombers or something, where there's some sort of get together and like 30 people are standing in the crowd and
They
all
didn't
look like a bunch of hicks from Nova Scotia or something.
That's exactly what these people were. It was in Florida.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's definitely the place where where you want to go. But that was Dusty Rhodes' region.
And then even like
Florida.
the music for some of these people that came out, like when Christopher Daniels came out with Frankie Kazarian, their music was the cheesiest rap song I ever heard a wrestler come out to in my
That's
life.
hilarious. Yeah, the production value. That's why I thought they would have done something a little bit more. But they had a lot of pyro for Chris Jericho.
And the announcements too, like they would make a big deal about like between the Young Bucks and Cody Rhodes, they would make a big deal about these big announcements they had.
Yep.
They come out and they're like, big announcement. Our first show is such and such date in Las Vegas at the MGM Grand. Woohoo! I get that, right?
Yeah.
Next time they come out and they're fighting over who gets to say this announcement, and they announce the second show, Jacksonville, Florida. Like a month later or something like that. I don't see that as such a big announcement. I don't even think you needed to say that.
Yeah, exactly. I hear you're saying. Yeah, a little bit corny to go with. There are two big announcements or two shows. I hear you're saying. It was
even the logo reminds me of A&W. It's like A&W Wrestling.
They can maybe partner up with them. Everybody gets a free teen burger with your ticket.
If you watch the last 6 months of New Japan, you don't need to watch this.
That's true. But all the guys they announced, I think what the crazy thing is, with Chris Jericho obviously was the biggest announcement. Neville as well, which he goes by Pac in All Elite. He's actually signed up to them as well. He's going to be one of their main guys probably too. I don't know. Neville's, I think he fits okay in this circuit because it's,
he's not that good.
He's not. He's terrible on the mic. But I think when he was being the King Neville, I think was a good move. Having him as a heel, I think actually worked out really, really good rather than him being the babyface. He never worked out as that. But I think King Neville was actually a decent move for him. I think it's what he's kind of going to be with his Pac character.
Well, I think it's good that he's got a job somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
I understand why he left WWE. He believed he should have been bigger than he was there.
Yeah.
I don't really agree with him. I think he was put right where he belonged in that roster because there were so many talented guys that were ahead of him.
Yeah, I hear you on that. Yeah, I don't see him belonging in the 205 Live was a good fit. That's why I think he can do good in the Indies because the Indies are basically like 205. There's very rare you'll see a dude who actually is physically heavier than 205 these days. In the Indies, that's not like just kind of overweight slob, really. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, I know he got upset because Enzo Amore came to 205 and became the champ, but nobody cared about 205 Live until Enzo Amore showed up there.
Well, I think you have to realize, too, you're not just going to hold the belt the whole time. You're going to lose it and get it and lose it and get it. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? So I don't know why he thought that, I'm going to get the belt. I'm going to hold on to the belt forever. It's just not going to happen.
Yeah. They will probably do well because they do have the Young Bucks and Cody and Jericho. I don't see it getting that big. I don't think it will ever, I don't think it's going to be as big as TNA. Whereas, TNA, Jeff Jarrett kind of went and did the same thing. He left WWE because he didn't like something going on there. Made his own league. It's still around 20-something years later, right?
It's true.
I don't see this being that big, but you never know. It could be, right?
I think they're gonna steal a lot of guys from TNA just because that was reported that All Elite Wrestling was offered to buy TNA. And I think that they thought it'd just probably be easier just to be able to sign their guys rather than signing all their debts. Mm-hmm. Just to sign the guys afterwards and bring them on in. With obviously the biggest rumored name is Kenny Omega is supposed to be coming over as well, where she reportedly, he's not going to be re-signing with New Japan Pro Wrestling. And the biggest rumor is that he's not actually going to be signing with WWE as well.
That's disappointing.
Yeah, so I think that the the only thing that makes sense would be for him to go to All Elite, where I think he's a better fit. I think in WWE, I think he's lost in the mix. I'm not the biggest Kenny Omega fan.
I think like he's built himself to the point right now where like, and he's like something like 35 years old, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
If he doesn't go to the WWE right now, he's gonna go down in history as an afterthought.
It's true. Yeah, it's true. Never been to the big stage.
Really consider what you did outside of WWE when you're talking about an old wrestler. You know what I mean?
It's true. No one ever talks about the independent guy.
Yeah, even like Sting, as much as success as he achieved in WCW and TNA, no one really puts him on the level as the guys like The Undertaker and Stone Cold and The Rock that were in WWE at the same time, right?
Absolutely. Even Triple H, you know what I mean? Exactly. No, great point. Yeah, great point. Especially he was in TNA for such a long time, too. He was really one of like the last mega star to leave TNA. Really, too. But speaking of other guys, free agents, it's a good time to be a fucking free agent because apparently the Lucha Brothers, they're in between a contract fight between AEW and WWE, are both trying to keep one-upping them to throw more and more money at these guys to come over. Pentagon Jr. and for Phoenix to come over to one of their organizations. Those guys are really going to get paid. And good for him. Pentagon Jr. is one of my favorite wrestlers of all time right now. One of my new favorite guys. And Phoenix's actual brother is amazing. Has got some absolutely amazing in-ring ability. And I can't wait to see where those guys end up. I don't know if they'd fit too well in NXT or 205 Live. You know what I mean? Pentagon Jr. is kind of like that Undertaker type guy. You know what I mean? I don't know how he'd be received. I think it'd be good. You know, Ricochet did great. But how they inject him into the storylines, I think he's another dude who would be, those two guys would be almost better if they stayed on the independent circuit as opposed to moving to the big show. I think NXT would probably be the best they could do, though. If they were to go to move to WWE brand, NXT I think would be the best fit for them rather than going to the main show, just with who they are. But I just love his skill set of Pentagon Jr. And I just think it's an easy slam dunk. They do sign with AEW. But maybe, you know, the sad thing about Pentagon Jr., he gets all these great matches, but he's unfortunate. He always has to lose them all. And maybe he gets some kind of clout with that, with the money. He gets a few wins. You know, maybe he gets to avenge his loss to Kenny Omega in their battle. Maybe he gets a win over Cody Rhodes or something like that. We'll see. Only time will tell when it comes to that. AEW making waves, especially, you know, I mean, the Chris Jericho pyro I thought was actually pretty big. I think that obviously
they must have put all the money to that pyro because like, the rest of it seemed like the most low budget
exactly.
I've ever seen.
No, I agree, man. I agree. Maybe they're gonna have to probably be underneath some maybe they get on DAZN or something like that. They have to be on something, some kind of.
That would be huge for them. I don't know if they could afford it right now.
No, exactly. Well, they got the cons have got deep pockets, so we'll find out how this thing turns out. If it makes money, we'll soon find out. I think it overtakes TNA just because TNA's roster right now is a joke. And I think if they just sign a few more big names, like the rumor is Goldberg's going to show up to their event. I don't think he's going to wrestle, but that's the big rumor is that Goldberg is coming. They've paid him a ton of money to come in for the appearance for the Double or Nothing show. So we'll find out what happens with that. What a week. What a week. Show number 19. All in the books. Check out the Twitter. Twitter's getting a little dusty out there, folks. Hashtag and new, or just hit us up at the and new podcast. And new podcast. Hit us up, man. Always updating. State of the art in the studio here. And new show.
Tweet questions.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Questions about anything. My dishwasher stopped working. I'll help you out.
Uses for water.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. Hit us up for uses of water. Absolutely. Possibilities are endless. You
don't know how to clean your balls?
Yeah.
We can help you out.
Kelly will show you step by step.
On FaceTime. Ball time.
Oh, shit. Oh, man. Kelly, you had your fun party. You get up to anything?
It's drinking lots of water.
Nice, yeah, me too. Anything you want to talk about, buddy?
Oh, I'm good.
Anything? No new Ruckus update? We're almost
waiting. Yeah.
We're almost at time for Ruckus.
It's a countdown.
Ruckus.
Four more weeks.
Wow, ruckus countdown.
Bring in the ruckus.
Yeah, bring in the ruckus and the noise.
Bring the motherfucking ruckus.
You're gonna have to get a lock that's worth more than the bike.
I'm gonna get one of those forget about it locks. They're like $150.
Yeah.
It's like kryptonite. It's like impossible basically
Nice.
to cut through it.
Nice. Well, you, Morgan, you got anything to talk about, buddy? You want to bring up?
Nothing much really. Slow week in MMA for sure. We covered most of the WWE and AEW stuff.
One of the slowest, really. I thought it was a drought going on earlier, but here we hit one hell of a drought. Well, let's wrap her on up here then.
Kind of seems like there should be more MMA. I'm thinking maybe it's because of the NFL playoffs.
Maybe you're right. Yeah, maybe you're
that's
right.
why some of these promotions don't want to go against it.
I could see that. Yeah, I could totally see that.
I did want to actually bring up that John Jones did test clean after that last fight.
Yes, he did.
Contrary to popular opinion on this panel.
That's when you want to test clean after the fight.
So he doesn't test clean in Nevada, but he tests clean now magically somehow.
So now it's good.
They didn't clean out the.
It was such a microscopic residual amount of that substance in his blood.
It was still in there.
A couple punches got it out of him.
Or maybe some new blood, new piss.
They said the amount of it that was in his piss was something like if you took a grain of salt and broke it into like millions of pieces, then one of those pieces was what he had.
Still had it. It was helping him out, that's for damn sure. It gave him that edge.
It's the only reason he won.
Exactly. That 1/1,000,000th John Jones. All right. God's bidet ended up in here. For producer extraordinaire Kelly, for co-host Morgan, my name is Steven. You've been listening to the New Podcast. Signing off. But I gotta go. Number 2.
God's bidet.